good job of moving things back and forth across this mid floor and keeping w7m guessing, but finally KZ will step up and he's going to take down Alamau as they simply think that w7m are going to wait over inside of blue stairs, but surely not. They go for the flank and it's working out masterfully for them. Doki will finally fire back, but what's it worth at this point? 2 versus 3 and a lot more to do.
Doki with an A getting primed here. Herd's gonna expect it, gets a few shots back at it. Thankfully, banks off of one of the vaults there and is gonna be able to save himself from that, but can't save himself from the outright push. Doki makes it work anyway, just through brute force, taking down Herds. Re-equalizes the player count down to a 2v2. Virtue tries to make a move as well, but the angles don't align and it's the clash on the other side of it anyway. And even worse now, Doki has finally been dropped on that crossfire from Elevator back in the gold. So with that said, Virtue though, actually not going out. If he can chase down and get the clash here, might still be able to close it down, but time is running out. He's not going to be able to get it done. I don't think the clash is too pervasive here. And with that, the defenders win it on the timer. Down and bringing it to a 5v4.
Cadello's in hand, but Alamau misses. Good news though, he's got glasses, so it won't affect him, just his teammates. Frag grenade out there as another Cadello will go in. This is looking like a fantastic G2 execution as the KD and most importantly the kill feed goes all orange. Volps will go down as well. It's up to JV to try and clutch this out, but all of a sudden w7m with a chance here. Blur down, Virtue the last one remaining, and it only takes a single shot out of that cannon in order to take down the last remaining w7m member. And staff room open area will remain winless for now. Play coming out of G2, but no, actually I'm mistaken. Doki back into very similar position to what we saw him prior. We've basically gotten the same round minus the picks here from w7m that have been coming pretty hot and heavy so far. Doki will finally be able to fire back up against KZ. He's going to try and transition this back into CEO. A big smoke play there. Doki's going to go down and he'll be dusted by said smoke. It's a 2 versus 3 now with a minute and 20 easy to put to bed. It's exactly what G2 is looking to do here. It always starts early. Bird gets the worm, and that's what G2 is attempting to do. They want to get ahead early, close this map out as quickly as they can, try and get onto these other maps, see if they can get something done. Apply the pressure to w7m, and that's exactly what Virtue does. They'll take down Julio. It's up to Volps now. Try and clutch this out. He's been droned, though. You know he's inside of the quad window, so he'll work his way out towards Banana. The plant's going to start going down for Blur. Volps has to try and challenge the window, but the bullets, they're going to hit more towards the ankle side instead of the head. It's going to end up being a G2 round off of that play. Really just about staying alive and trying to waste some time. Oh, Doki, that might be the moment of this round right there, watching that drone slip by.
Virtue with an angle, but doesn't realize there's a challenger waiting on the other end of it, and KZ! Doki's hand is forced, pushed directly. And here's where that delay is going to be a little bit more effective. Still a second one in Julio's pocket as well after that one has been thrown down. But Blur, I believe he's found a safe pocket for himself. He's going to use it to go for the plant. No Nitro is on the defense. No way to stop this beyond a direct push. He'll get away with it. The plant goes down. And on top of that, though, the planter will also, or one of the defenders rather, will also be eliminated, leaving it all on Julio here, trying to run a flank. But it'll be read and taken down by Benja as G2 claim another successful attack for themselves.
All of the control necessary to plunge their way into this site, but it's escaped them so far. w7m keeping it close to the chest, keeping people alive. And not only that, dealing as good as they're getting with the man count. Volps is going to fire back as well. He's going to take down Virtue. A big Nitro cell from KZ. Goggles on now, and no real way for G2 to try and work in unbeknownst to the defense. It's going to be up to Doki, and he's quickly dispatched. w7m get their second defensive win and the first defensive win of the entire tournament on staff room open area.
Blue as well, and begin the distraction here. And it will be quite distracting when you consider that we have 3 different players trying to work their way in from above server at the moment in square. One of them has just been dealt with. KZ will work his way over after claiming that kill to support Julio's position a little bit more. The flash blinding him out entirely. He cannot find the coverage of the shield. Ends up going down, but another member of G2 also getting down in the process. They'll be brought back up, however. We're now going to be moving forward. JV92 with one more trade into the favor of w7m once again to keep the numbers even at a minimum, but now G2 going for the plant. There is a Nitro sitting on Herds. Is he going to be in position enough to be able to stop this now? That is the big question. Where is it? Nowhere to be found, unfortunately. He is still rotating back over from the garage side of things. So the plant gets down onto the ground. The Toxic Babe also shows up far too late to help out with it too. Benja, with the counter angle still from up on top, is going to limit the rotation options for w7m as they try desperately to now get back into security here.
This is the hardest retake that you can have in Rainbow Six Esports. Bank downstairs. Look at the positioning from G2. How do you fight these angles? The answer, you don't. Everyone is inside of a barrel at the current moment. It's down to Herds. He can't even get an angle to try and fight back, and he will get slaughtered like a lamb. G2 Esports pick up the round, and that's going to be the half here on Bank. Round, which is about to be upon us. You can see the positioning from G2 pretty spread across this base floor. More than likely meaning that w7m doesn't have a lot of drone work done here, or the real ability to try and capitalize on that. Volts instead is just going to send it right in. He's going to get a heck of a lot of kills for doing so. Actually, they didn't know about Alamal's positions and the ones off site, but sending it into sight, you'll usually find yourself some bodies, and it seemed that the proper angle was accounted for from w7m. So they're going to take quite a few members. Alamal's going to deal with the top position already, so he'll take down KZ. A big player requires big plays, and this would be one for him.
Alamal with one already behind him. Going to be looking to pick up the remaining two, of course, if he can get back in for the counter defuse. Very, very tepid movement here. And you consider the fact that he's playing with virtually zero intel, checking every single potential angle where someone could be playing at, but misses that one from Herds, who will finally shut him down and give the opening round of the half over to w7m.
He snuck in the back door. I believe he got in via the hatch over here inside of the vault, and yes, he did, just slipped in through the cracks. Volps is going to be able to pick up one. Blur will take down one as well, but with this position from JV92, this could be the round right here. If they are not aware, this is all going to be onto the game sense of the G2 players. There's no way that they know this is going on. Blur will go down, but Benja gets one, and that's why you pick up a player like Benja, Master. Oh my God!
The open area site. This is looking like a quick one from w7m here, as they're also going to be trying to line up electrical control as well. This could be a big boom directly into the site for them here, especially when you consider Volps' operator choice coming in from below and immediately trying to go for a plant. Has to cancel it as Herds has found some resistance deeper into it, but just look at how smooth it is from w7m. 3 kills, no responses from G2 as of yet, and still the case as it's down to only Benjameister in the 1v5 clutch. It's a flawless round in under a minute from w7m as they make mincemeat of the defensive setup from G2. Side of things, he has been able to make it up to the spiral staircase without being noticed so far here. Has a good opportunity to potentially sneak up on Banana, but there is Overwatch for it. Virtue catches the play, knocks out KZ, and leaves only Julio and Volps alive. I believe both being played over by Square as well. Never mind, one is trying to work their way in from the basement. Julio, though, is so close to his end already here. Just been peppered down, shot after shot. Benja to finally finish things off as well. Takes him out, and Alamal to seal the deal with the flawless to end the round. Keep the presence alive for G2 here as they try to close down the map on this very round. Nitro going up. This one could sing as well, but it's too telegraphed. w7m read into it, and thankfully back away from it as well. Doki still able to strike true as he knocks out another member of the w7m roster, this time JV92. The Heartbreak's probably not going to be this too heavily since we're so deep into the round. Volps claims the first attacker-sided kill, but Doki still holding the line. That's until KZ gets a hold of him, however, but it won't matter as still far too many G2 kills happening back-to-back, and as a result of that, they'll be able to claim map number 1. Just trying to set up a little bit of a grid for himself and anyone else that's going to be staying up here on the second floor when the actual site execute happens.
Virtue almost getting blown sky high there as he's on the sledge work for mining as of right now. Going to attempt to spam into bunker, but not going to find too much. That's on to Doki and the rest of the gang as they're going to dispatch w7m in a pretty convincing fashion. Volps now trying to get it back in blood, and he will. Blur will end up picking up Julio, but Volps, my God, man, slowed down as he's already gotten 3.
With his capability to try to win this one out, he's actually going to move both of them now to get them into a better position for when G2 feels the confidence to move forward. That does leave a little bit of a risky situation. The fact that he could have been droned out, but nicely done. Plays it off the audio cue from upstairs, catches Virtue lurking into his corner, and now he's got a health advantage for the final 1v1. Blur is at negative 20 HP here, sub 20 HP, trying to win this one out inside of the 1v1. The crossfire comes dangerously close to making the connection onto Volps. He's also out in the open here, taking the risk on exposing himself to Blur without the full intel, but keep in mind there, you can see it, his teammates on those echo drones giving out the hard pings, constantly feeding Blur's location over to Volp, so he is not panicking in any sense right now. That all is instead happening over on Blur's side of things. Look at this as well. Nicely played by Volp. Just backs away from the scenario. Just going to play this on the timer unless he knows he has a winning angle. There we go. An ace as well from Volps to shut it down as he single-handedly saves this round.
On the roam game that's going on around this top floor, and they will successfully do so. Herds right on the other end of this, and he's quickly going to get taken down by Doki. The spatial awareness not there for the audio apparently in that position. Very unfortunate for the w7m member, but they've still somehow been able to manage. He'll take down some G2 players, but KZ now down for the count over inside of Pixel.
Priming for that now as Julio tries to dodge out the nade. Alamau with an opportunity there, but misses it. Allows Julio to re-transition through red 90 and then back out into pillars.
Seconds remaining.
G2, the team play working for them, but it's taken them some time to set this up. w7m, they're slowly working their way back into this round. All it takes is one proper kill and the entire thing explodes. Julio gets one, Volps gets the other. The plant has to be stuck by Alamau, and he's more than likely dead. He'll just get off of it. G2, they do their damnedest, John, to try and work together to solve this problem. Around Brown stairs that he could quickly dispatch of, opening up the gates for G2, but he's found Volps on the other end. It was a late rotation down red stairs to try and come up behind G2, but the shoe was on the other foot. Blur also coming in late as well. All of this could have been potentially fatal to a w7m member, but you can see the remaining units playing close to sight over inside of Train as well as Library. Alamau, the downward position, has some semblance of control over the site. This will allow them to find some area to plant, but after Virtue's gone down, they're going to need some serious cover, and the case is actually well within the right of w7m to take, and they will. After that case goes down into their control, the round is theirs as well.
Continuing to run out of time in the process. This has oftentimes been an issue for them, especially when they fall behind with the deficit here, and now they're just going to force the hand. Blur going directly into Freezer with the skeleton key, takes on a fight versus Julio, gets some intel about a player to his left, and then clips the head off as well. Beautifully done, but the Frostmat strike again, ladies and gentlemen, as G2 still, though, are going to be unscathed by it as they move forward, even bringing that player back from the depths as well. All down to Herds now. He's traded out for one, but he still has 3 more players to knock out and the plant to prevent, which unfortunately won't be able to do. Alamau successfully gets it down onto the ground just as Herds approaches the main kitchen doorway. Does he have what it takes to go for this swing here? These angles are going to be so tight, and more than likely he's going to have to face off against multiple players at once. It's a nigh impossible clutch for Herds, but he's got to bring it out now, otherwise G2 finally will get themselves around on the board, and indeed they shall at the hands of Alamau, claiming the final kill. Benja just cannot get away with anything here on the Nook as well. Another motion detector goes off as he tries to sneak in through Heldor. I actually think he might have gotten away with that one, at least in the form of the fact that no one's going to immediately chase him down, but you can't do the same for Virtue, who tries to go for the skylight hop. It's beaten out by JV92 here. Volps into the hallway finds Benja, more than likely playing off of that as effectively as possible, as all he can really do at this point as bait for some stat pads, and unfortunately won't even be able to get that one. It's a flawless round from w7m as they quickly retake control of the scenario here at 4-1.
You know, capable of doing, and well, should be doing.
Members of G2 ready to move in, however, it is not going. Alamau ends up taking himself down with his own pre-cooked frag grenade as he swings in. Such an unfortunate chain of events that it pretty much is the beginning of the end for this round here. Virtue. The best half, of course, for G2, given what we had seen occur just back on the last map. Now we'll have to see a massive rebound here. Basically a perfect scoreline for w7m. There we go, Virtue finally gonna get picked off here as w7m is able to lock him down over on attacker side, bouncing over towards Kochek, and don't really find any presence from w7m that they can action upon just yet.
That's the biggest issue. This might be the hardest part of the entire map to flank because there's no real way to get in behind them. You just have to take the gunfight. You're taking a gunfight via the kitchen wall or the hallway, but either way, it is working out for G2 when it comes to the competition. Finally, an equalizer will come through for Herds. And into the last minute, it's going to be a 3 versus 3. G2 still have a pulse, still have a sign of life. Alamau using that mid floor to the fullest advantage. Julio actually going to die, or rather Virtue dying to Julio via that Claymore. It's going to make things a little bit more complex for them now. w7m pulling ahead, all with that patient play. Benja will also get one back onto his shoulders, though, as well. A little pre-fire shot. One chance to try and stop this plant from going down. They have the cross dedicated. What happens to this player in Freezer? What say he in his defense? Volps will go down in a flick! Benja does it again! Oh my! On a dime inside of Freezer, quickly taking down both W7M members.
Fend off some of this repel pressure working itself into Cigar. He'll sit back here, currently alone as well, so this is a very precarious situation, but I'll correct myself, Alamau somewhat nearby. Oh, that's a big peek right there, but Alamau making things work regardless. He lines up a second repelled kill now against JV92. Virtue also getting into this heat. I don't believe anyone from
W7M. See if they can potentially get a push here. Finally, it'll be Benja to seal the deal. Drops down the hatch into the red hallway, and G2 will shore up this score line 5-3.
Spread out, are not able to take the appropriate position, and just end up going for a few guess pushes, which will end up leading to their deaths. This time, though, it's a bit more well-formulated. Volps and Julio able to deal with the upstairs presence. G2 never peeling that back. Virtue stealing one back on the exchange, though, as he finally gets the finisher off onto Herds. Volps will get hit from some utility, and Blur gets away with one, but he can't escape fully. The trade comes in. Everything falls to Virtue, but time now plays into his favor. The scope, though, is not going to play into his favor at all inside of that angle. Julio, I believe, shuts it down for W7M, and they have finally thrusted themselves onto map point fashion they can use to slowly slingshot their way back into the round. Things not panning out, though, as they attempt to go for a bit of a play inside of Christmas. It will not work out. Blur ends up getting hit slightly, but now you're going to see the nades bounce back onto Volps. Downs him entirely. Not out for the count yet, but Herds is as he tries to go for another nade toss. And wow, G2 just snapped the jaw shut right there as well as soon as the nade kill comes through, and make sure that W7M have zero chance to fight back there in the late round. So everything falls down now to the final three members of W7M to attempt to swing their way into it, as Benja is forced back into the depths of libraries. He's immediately flashed out. W7M trying to take that hell control for themselves. 20 seconds to make this work for W7M as well. So they are quickly running out of both room and timing to make this one work. Alamau begins the crunch. Julio tries to open it back up a little bit here with the push into library. Second angle going to work its way into this, but it's not enough. G2 still shutting it down, and they'll take us to the final round of regulation. And nowhere to really go, even if he wanted to try and move from that position. So Virtue just had to sit there and unfortunately take the L on this round as W7M decided to commit a good half their utility to it. Now the hop has come forward from Volps, however. He'll take the leap on his own. Trying to go for a plant behind it as well. KZ so far supporting it well, but Benja trades out that repelled position. Volps, though, still able to successfully sneak off the plant, and now back out the window where we're going to see these repelled positions supported. Alamau is the only one left from G2, and W7M are sending us to a map 3. The scenario into a 4v4.
Now KZ died so fast there, we literally got transcended to heaven. We didn't even get to see his point of view. It was ridiculous as he swung into yellow stairs. Volps is now trying to transition his way through arcade and take out the player playing on the stairwell. That'll be a fairly straightforward affair. He'll take down Virtue. Benja now holding things down inside. A nice cross for him to get into a more pivotal position. EMPs to assist as W7M are hurling them with a decent amount here. It can't just be one kill. It has to be a whole slew of them. And he might miss position. He does indeed. Hertz hears him. He'll take down Alamau. And they know where Benja is now as he'll take out one of their friends outside. It's going to be the Goyo canister that deals a decent amount of damage to Herds, but through the fire and flames is JV92.
No way is that going to work. Immediately, both of those Selmas are shot out. Are there bad intel call or just an overzealous push leads to the elimination of most of the hard breach utility the attackers had access to, but Keys thankfully going to make up for this at least in some dividends now by pushing himself directly into the site and taking it.
KZ quickly dispatching 2, and now the rest of W7M hot to trot. 3 kills for him, all on the 417. The biggest play from the DMR that we've seen this entire LAN is now down to Virtue. The man that got the opening kill, he'll get the second for G2, but he'll be the last to die as W7M pick up their second round. Well, past that, not too much action going on. Some solid positioning here from W7M as they're able to use Buck to his fullest advantage. That skeleton key working its way up through the floor and forcing a move from G2. Alamau looks to try and abuse some of those angles that had just opened up, but he just got too overzealous. Herds playing the counter angle not only gets him, but as well as Virtue here from security. JV92 will make the situation even worse, and now it's all down to Doki. Has the MX4 Storm, but he doesn't have air to breathe.
Too strong of a hold now. Benja coming close to being clipped off there as he moves forward just to take out a drone as well. but will be able to successfully shift back deeper into the site. Volps potentially next up to bat here as he's reached arcade balcony. Tries to push himself forward. Doki, the nice swing out, catches one, but once more, Julio equalizes us for a second time here with his pick. Doki continuing to snipe out everyone on W7M, and then Virtue finally coming in there to pick up the last one as well. Nicely held by G2 as we finally see them on the board.
We're trying to prevent this plant from going down on the Osa shield, and she's playing back into this now as well. Virtue, oh my, has he actually made the play here? He has indeed. Pre-fire's coming through. He's got the angle on the Osa, and he's got the stoppage, but there's so much time for W7M to try and work out this puzzle.
The eyes from G2 hyper-focused on that angle, and it has indeed worked. One player from W7M is eventually going to push in from this one, but the other trying to work the connector angle here. They're going to try to play it together. Those Legion mines, though, tripping them up. No time to peel them out. Blur more than ready for the challenge. Him and Virtue have no problem fending off the last two pushes from W7M, and as such, another round is found for G2. Kills he got at the beginning and the play he just made there on the inside of control. 30 seconds left here. Let's see how W7M tries to piece this together.
Oh, it's been so difficult for them trying to deal with G2. They're constantly hounding them on these angles. The Bulls in the Bronx taking it to them. W7M cannot find a single lifeline at the current moment. Time and time again, the timing's not working out. It's a moment they look away from an angle. G2 shows up, and they deal the death blow towards W7M.
To try and make a play through connector here. Nitro going to be chucked in as well to attempt to fend off the breach attempt being made here, but unfortunately, it lands just a bit too low. G2 still making their mark, though. Alamal starts us off strong, and Doki and Benja follow it through as G2 are able to steal the first round defense.
Well, if I remember, I think I might be wrong about this, but I think they changed the hitbox a little bit where you're a little bit more slippery on it when you stand, so it's just easier to do it via that. But past that, some other things are a pretty slippery slope. Losing your hard breach early on. Oh my God. JV92 hip fired down by Alamau with the G8. He's going to continue on this reign of terror as he is tearing things up on the arcade side.
JV92
KZ from play. It's up to Julio. We'd love to see a big round from him here inside of this one. Hasn't had something massively considerable just yet, but it could be the time. Has to get a mag back in this gun. Oh, and it's so very close, but Doki will close it out. He thought he was going to be swinging from the right, but it was to the left. And bye-bye. His herds will go down. W7M finally able to get something going here. They'll equalize, but it might change up quickly. Yep, Alamau, he knew exactly where that was going to be going due to the logic bomb that came through. The phone calls working out so well, as well as the EE1Ds, but somehow Julio still allowed to stay alive and still allowed to get these 2 kills. Really, really considerable. But now for G2, they have to try and pick up these pieces, which was not something that I was really considering saying going into the initial portions of this interaction, but somehow W7M have came out on top. Crappy over there.
Want to touch the white snow or the brown snow?
Yeah. City snow is not that great, and well, neither is the play from W7M right now. They're looking a little like that sloppy snow. They're getting taken down from every single angle. Nothing that they can do is finding any success for them, at least inside of this one. Volps will finally fight back. G2, though, they've gotten away.
This is going to be a 6th and penultimate round for the G2 roster. Volps getting away with at least one more here, but just really baiting for kills at this point. Not really trying to lead himself into a clutchable position here. If he gets another kill, he can probably try to swing towards it, which he's coming up on the precipice of that now. But yeah, Virtue ready for the challenge. Finally, G2 give us that expected result of the round and push themselves up to 6 here. So they're not being baited into it.
Halfway through, G2 have not been able to find the opening kill. Some damage onto Herds. Doki trying to act quickly, usually so solid at this, but now a beautiful lineup here as Herds will be able to take down Blur. Some nice kills coming in, a drop shot, and Herds, so much damage dealt to him, but they can't get him down. Alamau will be the one to go. Benja finally fighting fire with fire, but how much does it really mean?
Herds wins it all here in the mid-round. Beautifully played out. Not really expecting much of a hope for G2 to swing this one back under their own control, but let's wait and see here as volp7m takes out the second to last member now. Virtue is all that remains. Heat 2 quickly dealt with by JV92 at the connector exit.
The entire team, unless Herds has something to say about it, he'll take down Alamau. That's going to be the Doki off the board here, and back and forth we go. w7m looking to force this overtime. Now G2, they need to recoup. They need these kills. Virtue will get one. Benja knows that somebody's close in the area, but he doesn't look tight enough. volp7m sees the barrel, and he's able to take him down. It's up to Virtue. This 417, it's been so dastardly throughout the tournament, but it won't be good enough. w7m provide overtime for us here on Theme Park. We have a guaranteed 2 rounds ahead of us.
At least for these first few seconds, they want to focus on the downstairs play first and set themselves up for a bit more success over here. Away from that, we're going to see them try to swing in, but Julio is waiting for this push to come forward. Alamau with the intel is at least able to trade it, but this is the problem. He was the only one in the site. Everyone else has to suddenly rotate back in. They're not confident in their ability to retake this through connector with the 2 players they have there. Alamau's already on top of that. Now we can see it. Benja, or whoever is the current case carrier, Doki in this case, moves forward. We'll get the plant down onto the ground behind Throne, as there's nothing w7m can do about that one. Blur has the overwatch from Gong now as well, so they can't rotate through yellow. This is perfect from G2 here. I don't know how w7m is going to stop this.
Well, they've gotten the plant down, but it looks like that might at least be a start. Alamau will be able to get one more, making this a 2 versus 2. volp7m's pretty low on HP, but the same could be said about Alamau. Definitely going to consider that coming into these fights. KZ will go down, volp7m's the last one that remains. Alamau will clean that one up as well. The Brazilian dealing it to his own brethren from across the pond. The European squad getting it done.
And it goes very quiet after that, but a nice snipe from Herds eliminates Alamau as he tries to play behind the bomb chassis. Benja ready for the challenge in through arcade window and now takes up the very mantle of that position. Herds, though, single-handedly bringing his team back from the brink as he knocks out Doki in one more. Everything now on Blur's hands here as it's come down to the 1v3.
The case is going to be on Julio. So many guns still have to try and take advantage of these angles.
It's an ace.
An ace for Herds. Oh my, what a round. Down into the last minute. This is usually when things get very, very wrong. And yes, indeed, it'll happen. G2, they try to spring into the map in these dying moments, and we usually call it the hell minute when it comes into a situation like this, don't we? 5 versus 5, quickly 5 versus 3. After G2 walk into a frost mat and lose their best entry, everybody else is going to have to try and get something going here. It all starts with Virtue as he's working his way in from Cafe. Herds will dispatch him. Goes swinging. He'll find himself a Blur. Benja's gotten picked back up by Alamau. They're coming up the arcade stairwell. Back and forth they go, but Benja's going to quickly get gunned down. Alamau can't get it done either, and w7m get it done up against G2 here in this best of 3. Theme Park taking some time, but their play, their consideration, the strategy going into this working so very well for them.